Okay, broads, quick, big announcement.
Mayday!
Major announcement, flashing lights.
Jess and I decided on a whim. I've been seeing everything on social media about this season of The Bachelor and about the Women Tell All and about Clayton.
Now I'm curious.
I'm getting
now
a little
Mama's
FOMO.
curious, and now we have to participate.
So we came up with a crazy idea. We're like, let's just watch the last few episodes. We can watch like the Women Tell All. We can watch like the last couple episodes, and let's do a live show to talk about it.
We're going to do a live show. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live, people. So
unfiltered.
sometime in the next couple weeks, we'll get you the exact dates, but we're going to do a live virtual show. And just like last time when we did it, we'll make sure that it's available to buy tickets for and be able to stream for even days after if you can't tune in for the actual live portion.
So us and the bros, prepare yourself. We'll be giving you dates ASAP. You can mark your calendars. I'm so excited.
I'm excited. This is gonna be interesting, and I'm excited to watch the end of the season.
I know.
And give all of our hot takes that you've been missing.
All of them.
Okay, that's all, broads. So stay tuned. Live virtual
Stay
show coming soon.
And welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Now, that is not the sound of our normal beverage.
No,
That is coffee.
that's coffee.
Because we're recording this in the morning, which is not
Our typical.
not what we're used to. How do you do in the morning versus at night?
I'm usually more optimistic in the morning.
Okay, like not enough bad things have happened yet.
Yeah, not enough bad things have happened. I'm not, there's nothing. My day has yet to be fully ruined.
That's good then. That's
Just
good.
only just moderately.
Moderate.
Yeah.
It's like you still have the shine in our eyes. The joy is still there.
Mm-hmm.
The endorphins are still alive. I normally nighttimes I kind of enjoy nighttime more just for the sake of like I'm a little bit more awake.
Really?
See, for me it's like nighttime podcasting at night I like a little better because it's like, all right, I'm done with everything for the day. And then I can just talk with my bro and shoot the shit and laugh. You know what I mean? It's like, and we're having a drink. It's like it's like a version of what I would want to do at the end of my day anyway. Be like, hey, Greg, come over, let's hang out, have a drink and chat. Or morning time, see what's happening? You're yawning.
I'm always yawning though.
You're always in a state of yawn.
It doesn't matter how much coffee or caffeine I have. Dude, I'll have like pre-workout and just be yawning. I'll be buzzing, like I'll be vibing hard, like my palms will be tingling, but I'll just like fully be yawning.
Because your body's so used to like stimulants.
Tired, dude.
Dude, well, that's
It's
called
like
having kids.
Yeah. It's like, last night catching up on the episodes, I didn't get to bed till later than I wanted. And then it was like Frank was up like 4 times. Dude, if you're going to sleep, like if a kid wakes up 4 times and then you're just up for good at 6:15,
You're done.
you're just done. You're just smoked for the whole day.
And then you kind of like debate like, okay, should I go back to sleep? And then right when you fall asleep at 7. So
Yeah.
then you got to get up anyway. Dude, Ember was torturing me last night.
Why?
So she's at this age now where she calls if she needs something.
Dari.
Right? But like she knows too, like this better be worth it kind of thing. But I think she's become impervious to like our disappointment to where she just kind of rolls with it. Like, whatever, you're pissed. I don't care. Like she called me 5 times this morning from like 4 to 7, just every half hour. Dad, I come in. She's like, I need to use the restroom. And I was like, go. I mean, you have a bathroom in your room. You don't need to call me. She's like, but it's dark. I don't like to go. I like this someone watch me go. Okay, so we're letting that happen one time.
Yeah, but it's better than her going in the bed, It's like,
Oh, well, sure. But we're past that.
No,
we're
yeah.
past that.
Totally. But I mean, if that's the choice.
Of course. No. That's not the choice. The choice is you go in the bathroom by yourself. That's the choice. So she calls me. We do that 3 times. Dude, and then she calls me in and she calls me, Dad. I go in. And she does this regularly where she's up, she's not tired, but and if you know Ember, she can't not talk. Like she has to talk to you constantly. It's her number 1 love language in the world. It's just like, I want to chat.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk in and she goes, you know what's crazy to think about? And I walk right out. I didn't even say a word. I just walked right out and shut the door. And then an hour later, she called me again. Dad. And I go, okay, this better be worth it. You know, like whatever this is, it better be like a pee thing or a scared thing or something. I go in and she goes, look. And she had set up her little lovey thing, sitting like a throne. And she goes, a throne. And I just walk right out again without saying a word. Because I'm just like, are you kidding me? I've been up 5 times. I'm exhausted. And you want to show me that she knows what she's doing. This is definitely not like I actually want to show you this. This is like let me test where he's at right now and see if I can pull this off and get up.
Bro, Ruth is pulling some shit where she's like, so she's not supposed to get out of her room until until a certain time.
Right.
So we got like these child clocks. Yeah. That like hers goes from a night sky to a sun.
Yeah.
When it's the sun up? It's time for you to come out of your room. We
tried that. It scared Ember. Ember said, that scares me. I would love that. I mean,
they have ones like traffic lights. They have all kinds of.
Love nothing more than to have that. We bought 3 of them over the last years. We're like, oh, cool. It's a little green guy and he lights up when it's time to get up, right?
She's like,
no, she's like, I stare at it all night and it scares me and I'm waiting for the light. And I'm just like, ugh. So instead she still just calls us.
So, oh God. So Ruth, this was so she wouldn't come and sleep in bed with us.
Right. You got to keep her in there.
So it worked for like 3 weeks. We were like, wow, this is incredible. Lately, I've just been waking up and Ruth is in bed with us.
So she came out, and climbed in.
And I'll be like, yo, like when did she get in here? And she's just like passed out hard next to me. It's like just 6 in the morning.
So relaxed.
And I'm like, when did that happen? And we like woke her up and we're like, Ruth, like, when did you come in here? She goes, you were sleeping. And I was like, what? And
she's like tiptoed in.
Dude, every morning. She's mastered sneaking in and getting in between Becca and I and under the sheets without waking us up.
Well, you guys are heavy sleepers.
I guess. I don't think so. Like Frank will just be like, and all of a sudden I'm up. And I'm like, oh, Frank's up. I'll hear like the slightest thing and I'm up. She's like
sound
full ninja,
versus movement.
Yeah.
Maybe you think in your body, oh, it's Becca moving or something.
She just gets in there.
And she's like, oh, I made it.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
and I'm so used to Alvaro, I won't even think anything about it till I'm like, wait, like Ruth isn't even supposed to be in the room yet.
You guys should set up a camera in the bedroom so that you can watch the whole thing go down.
I know, I really should. I want to get that. I want to get a few of those things just to have it.
Like the Simply Safes or the Ring
nanny
cameras
cams or whatever they are, where I was like, this isn't to like actually monitor our nanny. This is just to catch whatever the hell the kids are doing
criminal activity.
Yeah.
Okay, broads, interrupting the bros. Listen, every single year I make the exact same promise to myself. I say, this year, this is the year I really dial back nighttime screen time. And I mean it too. And then every year come February, my screen time is embarrassingly high again, especially at night. I always have the best intentions when I set goals for myself, but I think everyone can relate when I say life just gets in the way. If you're like me and you want to hit those personal goals you've set for yourself, but just need a little bit of motivation, it's time to try out Fabulous.
So Fabulous is the habit building app that gives you all the tools you need to feel healthier, more productive, and fulfilled. It's like a little non-annoying accountability coach. And not only can you learn to incorporate new good habits, Fabulous also helps you break free of those tough to shake bad habits. Okay, I've tried my fair share of goal setting apps and like self-help books trying to get me back on track. Fabulous, by far my favorite. They take on an entirely new scientific approach to self-improvement to make sure that you can actually stick to and reach your goals, which is the hardest part.
That's right. Let's say, for example, that you had a goal of being healthier, which a lot of people do. The problem, though, that's way too vague and difficult to track the success of. So Fabulous takes your end goal and breaks it into smaller daily goals like drinking a certain amount of water, getting off your phone at a set time, and so on. With Fabulous, you will reach your goals before you know it.
Start building your ideal daily routine today with Fabulous Premium. Get 25% off Fabulous Premium by going to thefabulous.co/chatty. That's TheFabulous.co, thefabulous.co/chatty for 25% off Fabulous Premium. That's thefabulous.co/chatty.
So my toxic trait is that I get bored and constantly want to redesign and redecorate our entire house just about every other week, okay? For obvious reasons, I don't ever actually do it. But it would just be so fun if I had an endless budget and endless time. But since I have neither of those things, I have resorted to digitally designing and decorating spaces on the Redecor app.
I'm usually not one for game apps, but I'm not going to lie. The interior design apps get me.
They are so good.
Redecor is really fun, you guys. You can design new rooms from scratch. You can find inspiration by scrolling through other people's designs. You can judge challenges, or you can participate in a challenge of your own. And Redecor even has a section full of style guides, tips and tricks, and decorating advice that you can apply to your IRL home.
Mm-hmm. So I'm obsessed with entering the design challenges, mostly because it lets me get out all the super like wild ideas I love but could never do to my own home. Also, I'm not naturally good at interior design, so I feel like it's a good practice for me.
Yes.
I'm training my skills. I'm honing my skills with Redecor. And even if I don't win these challenges, I have the best time putting together the room. I found that it's a really fun way too for me to like disconnect from work at the end of the night but still be creative.
Love that. Practice your interior design skills and express your creativity with Redecor. Download Redecor for free on the App Store or Google Play Store. That's Redecor on the App Store or Google Play Store.
But yeah, dude, I want to get it just to catch that stuff. Cause like this morning, Ruth was up for like 10 minutes out of the bedroom for like 10 minutes before I was. And Becca was like, I'm really worried that she's crawled up on the countertop and eating like vitamin gummies. Right. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I come out and I hear the freezer just shut. And I go in the kitchen and Ruth is sitting like this on the ground, just covering her face.
She knew she got
sitting
busted.
On the ground. And I just went over to her and I squeezed her cheeks and her mouth open. I just start smelling her mouth.
And he's just like, full of like treats.
Just what's going on? There's nothing in there. And I go, what were you doing? I was like, I heard the freezer shut. She goes, I was looking for popsicles. Cute. And it was just like, okay.
They're at that age where they just immediately admit everything.
Yeah, but she's also knows she's not supposed to be doing it. But it's like, she also tells me. But I'm also like, that's fine. I'm like, that's
right.
Like, whatever.
You're okay
dude,
with
like,
that process.
It's because to me, I'm like, dude, like she's hungry in the morning.
Right.
And that's what she's trying to figure out.
She's hungry for popsicles.
Well, duh.
Who's
she's
not?
3. She's hungry for
amazing.
sugar. She's just like, the kids live on that.
Do they love it?
We deny them it too. So they're just
of
like,
course. But it's like, it's crazy. It's like, for me, it's like sugar's fine. I'll have like a little thing at night or whatever, but like it doesn't do that much for me. I'm more of a savory person, but so I guess if you were like taking that away from me, but it is funny how kids are like, they'll do anything for
but
a
it's
cookie.
like, dude, if I'm too lazy to get up out of bed with you first thing in the morning and you're hungry, I'm not going to like hold it against you that you're like rooting around for rummaging, you know?
Right.
My poor
foraging.
Kids, my poor kid, that sounds so bad.
They're just out there like
just,
making sandwiches and stuff.
1.5, 3 years old. But I do believe that like denying, like a child is far more capable, even a really young child is far more capable of learning those skills than like we give them credit, because it just sort of seems, it doesn't seem in line with like everything else. Mm-hmm. But like from the time I've spent in other parts of the world working with young kids, like responsibilities that they're willing to take on. Like Ruth does chores. Ruth is 3 years old. And for a while now, she has been like feeding the animals, taking care of like, you know, a bunch of different kinds of animals.
That's awesome.
And it's like, it's simple stuff. It's a simple act of like, you put this in the bowl, but it's a routine thing. Cooking is not a very complicated thing.
Right.
And like,
you can put or just even if it's simple as like putting a bagel in the thing and putting it down, and then when it pops up, you grab. I mean, it's too hot. Gotta wait, and all that stuff. Ruth makes the scrambled eggs every morning. I watch her, but she breaks 5 eggs in the bowl. She whisks it up with a fork. We scoot her high chair over to the stove. She pours the eggs in the frying pan, and I hand her a spatula. And she mixes it till the eggs are done. That's awesome.
I don't do anything. I just monitor.
Right.
I will let you do all this hands free. But like with a candle, she was playing with a candle and she put her foot over the candle and she freaked out. Right. And I was like, what happened? She's like, I put my foot over it. She goes, it's really hot. And I was like, yeah, that's called a burn. And she was like, what? And I was like, and now you know. Right, I was like, now you know this rule of why we don't put our hands in fire. And
right,
she's like,
right.
She's like, it really hurt. And I was like, yeah. was like, don't ever forget that.
And you're like, don't ever forget that's a lesson. Everything hurts.
Pretty much. I'm just like, there you go. Like, now you know.
There's
now,
like that fine line of like,
because I'm like, you were ignorant before to like, oh, this is flames.
What fire is,
this is what fire is. And now I'm like, now if you do that again,
but
you
then
realize that you
some
don't need
kids
to do this.
want to like push the limit all the time.
Some kids are just defiant. Dude.
They want to just.
That's how
they
I
were
was.
like, oh wait, I got a reaction out of my dad.
Well, my dad goes, you were this kid. He goes, my dad was cooking, and he goes, don't touch that. It's hot. And he said that I just looked him in the eye and just went and just immediately put my hand right on the thing he said not to do, and then just burned the fuck out of my hand. But he was just like,
yeah, that makes sense.
he was like speech, right?
Yeah,
it tracks.
it tracks entirely.
It tracks 100%. But my dad said he just looked at me like, what the fuck?
Right,
dude?
like you got a problem with authority now.
100%. I have such an issue with, I'm that person of like, I won't even think about it. The moment you told me, the moment you said you're not allowed to do it, I'm like,
I guess that's what I'm doing.
Now I have no choice.
Now I am out of my own body.
Find
now.
out why. This is your fault.
Dude, I feel like the Women Tell All was just
Good God.
walking everything you just said about just pure defiance and pure like is just this episode.
Choices, dude. We're all making choices. We all have choices to make. And these women all have to live with the choices that they made. And it's interesting to see how people choose to live with those choices.
See, I feel like it's less choices, and it's a little bit like what you're saying, which is like I'm no longer in control of my own body.
Right?
Right? And I think Shanae does that to people. Shanae is the like, I make you lose your mind. So then like, cause like people come in like all ready to go, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes in, they're like the game plan's gone. Dude, we get to see Cassidy again. The original evil one.
It's been so long.
We're missed you. But I was like, when I totally forgot about her. And I was like, oh my gosh.
See, but Cassidy is interesting. Of like, if we go back to our Batman villain parallels,
She's not even.
Well, there's certain points where Batman like teams up with the villains, or like villains fight villains.
Sure.
And this was an interesting one where like Cassidy at the end at one point was like scrutinizing.
Oh yeah, Shanae.
Who she trained, and she's sort of just like, wow,
it's the classic Anakin situation we talked about, which is just she's so much more evil than what we thought. Like we thought Cassidy was bad, and now we're realizing Cassidy isn't even in the same world as Shanae.
No,
but because so it was kind of funny though, as he was talking about like how she gets called out for this side piece that she has.
Oh, dude,
and she just was like, "Yo, it was good." Dick, like everybody's like, so she's like, I'm not gonna cancel the dick if I don't know that like something's gonna be great.
and everyone was just sort of like, we're not shaming you
right
for having like a casual sexual relationship on the side. It was just like you went into it like maintaining of like you had a safety net,
right
which is like, okay, so how invested in this process were you, which is like what she never really owned up to. And then she's like, all right, well, whatever, I did it, so who cares?
I think she liked Clayton a lot, but I do think that she was just in it for like the fame and probably the whole thing, and she was just kind of like, it's just a fun adventure, the novelty of it.
And I think that's a pretty important distinction of like, especially compared to some like compared to this idea of like that people are just going on for this like monetary value and gain of like, yeah, that's real. It's definitely a real component to it and like the opportunity, but also like, I don't think it's fair to undermine the novelty factor of ever having gone on the show and just participated, especially if you're an obvious fan and now you're going through the motions. Is like, it's gotta be, it has to be fun for that first thing till everything blows up in your face. But like, part of that was probably I'm going to go on and do this ridiculous thing. Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, and we always forget too that they don't know who the Bachelor is when they join the show. Right? Mm-hmm. So very few people, there's people that can go on for the right reasons, as in I want to find my person, and maybe this person I don't know who is going to be could be my person. And then there's a lot of people that just go on because they're like, yo, this is it seems to work on with people's careers pretty well. Yeah. So I think that's probably half, at least like 70% that, and then 30% people who actually are there to be like, I want to enjoy this process. And then I think there's that percentage of the people who do go on for the fame who then get caught up in it and go, oh, I really like this guy, you know?
And so this is where like, I do love, God, dude, I just love how Shanae just never dropped her role of like, even when they were asking like, why'd you come on the show? It was like she said like what you're supposed to say, but in this way where you were just like, it's none of it mattered. It's just sort of like, why are we even talking about this? Where she's like, yeah, like I've been single for 5 years. Like,
this is my last
she's
hope,
like,
almost.
she's like, yeah, you know, like, and so I just was like, fuck it, I'll just go on The Bachelor. She's like, I was in a really good place with myself. I like done all this
a lot
stuff.
of self-work.
And all the girls were like, whatever. And it was just sort of like, dude, who cares why she went on the show?
Right. This has
You're going to
nothing-
turn this question around on all of you, and all of you are going to have a bullshit answer that is super transparent, that none of it's going to hold up very well. You all came on the show because it's The Bachelor.
Yeah.
What more reason? What does it matter? You know, it's like,
right. Who cares how you got there?
and so I just kind of loved that she was like, whatever. And
the weird thing about her, and I still can't figure it out. Well, first of all, let's talk about this. Dude,
Okay.
the Genevieve comment when she got up about the diaper.
yeah,
Dude, that was a tough one for me because I was just like, it kind of encapsulated the whole crowd a little bit, where it was like, because someone's horrible, like let's say Shanae is horrible, right? Manipulative, lying, backstabbing person. I do think though it comes back into like, it doesn't justify how you act. So like someone else's actions don't justify how you act.
no,
Right? You're the person in control of your actions. So when she made that comment, like that her ass looks terrible and she looks like she's wearing a diaper, and then everyone was like, ha ha ha. It's like it's like the whole justification for like how you act against your evil enemy makes you like the enemy or unlike the enemy,
Well,
right? So it's like when you're doing the same shit by being really mean and shaming and rude, then it's like, what makes you different than her? It's just, she's just more outright with it. In that moment, it just bummed me out. I was
That's
like, you really lost all grounding to be like the high road.
and that's something we've talked about on previous stuff with like when Shanae was bringing up the feelings of being like, I do feel bullied in the house.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I bet you did.
But since she created the dynamic.
Totally.
Right?
But like these other girls, when they're given, I mean, it's not unique to these girls. Most people given that opportunity want to go far out of their way because they're like emotionally invested in punishing someone.
Right.
And that's when like, yeah, you're doing the same thing back. And it's like basic rules of elementary school, like social behaviors, like 2 wrongs don't make a
Exactly.
right. Just because she may have just because she did those things doesn't mean that like you're just suddenly allowed. You're not just James Bond with a license to kill out here.
Right.
Like,
And just because she's obviously doing the wrong thing doesn't mean you can now do it and then just she's still the worst.
yeah,
It's like, it doesn't matter. Like you're canceling out your ability to have an argument to be like, look at how bad she is.
well, and that was where like Teddy's behavior through the whole thing to me was like, yeah, okay, Teddy has a head on her shoulders.
Yeah,
Obviously.
clearly.
The only time she participated was like explaining like why it's important that they want to see this certain topic addressed.
Yeah.
Of just like, look, like this is what we're upset about. This is it, bottom line.
Yep.
Let's just water it down to the essence of it. Can you just talk about that?
Yes.
And if not, then whatever. But that's it. And it was like, cool. You're not chiming in. You're not harping. You're not piggybacking on someone's negative comment.
Yeah.
And I also think it's strange when like women who weren't even in the house at the time are giving their opinions
That's also a crazy one.
based on what they see on the show, knowing from their experience the show is only showing you a really small aspect of these scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just think it's.
But I thought about that because there was a couple women who were like talking a lot about the situation. I was like, wait,
why are
you
you
weren't
talking?
even there. But here's what I think it is. So I thought about that and I was like, why are you so it could be a couple things. One, it could be they just want more airtime to kind of get on Bachelor in Paradise and kind of like, don't forget about me.
Absolutely.
That's one. The other is that a lot of these ladies are friends. So they all get off the show and they're all going to the bar for the Bachelor night or like, hey, reunion at my house. We're going to watch it, hang out. And they talk for 7 hours.
About everything.
About everything. So now everyone feels like everyone was there.
Yeah.
So then it's a little bit like, and you don't talk to my friend that way kind of shit, where it's like, wait, weren't you out episode 2? Like, you know, but like they were there for all the convos and the late night hangouts and the reunions and shit. So I think everyone's kind of in it together, forgetting that the public like barely remembers them.
Totally. That's what I mean, dude, if there's one word I could think of that describes that entire Women Tell All, was petty. Just so sadly petty. But I have to say, like, I mean, there's a few things. I know we're trying to get better on not bouncing around, but I do, for the things of like Shanae's behavior on the show,
Well, let's get into the Shanae Genevieve thing.
It's just Shanae Genevieve situation. Okay.
Because that was like, they sat down and they went after it, right? That was lit. But here's why it was lit. Because Genevieve is sitting next to her. And I mean lit like in a bad way. Like, so Genevieve is looking back at all the ladies. And then she's like, I forgot exactly what it was, but she's recalling something and then catches Shanae in a lie. Right? She's like, oh, it was like you lied about that you were sorry for us, and then it was all this stuff, and then you lied that you were sorry to Clayton, you lied that you were sorry to us, you lied that you wanted to apologize, all this stuff, right? And so then she sits there and she has a moment of like, what do I say? And then she immediately just looks at Genevieve and goes, well, why did you hook up with Aaron Clancy then? And it was like, what? Like, she just immediately was like, okay, I'm in the corner. And she just jumped out above everyone and ran away the other side. And it was like, dude, do you guys not realize you're dealing with someone who like isn't like, you can't tap into the emotional side of her. She's not willing to go there.
No. And that was my highlight for her, was at the end when it was just like, are you ever going to apologize for anything? And all the women are answering for her. She's like, no. And she's like, no. Never going to apologize to you guys. And I was just like, I just am like, dude, yeah, I mean, like, you can't make someone do it. Also, though, it's not like their fault, but it's also like the way they're acting, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to apologize to you guys. But I feel like whatever. Well,
and this is the thing about Shanae that I still can't wrap my head around.
Which isn't me condoning.
Right. No, you're definitely, we're not, of course, not condoning her. I mean, she's out of her mind. But what's interesting about her, like as a villain on the show, is what makes her so, like, I think triggering to all the women, is that she isn't straight up evil in her delivery always. It's never like, fuck you, what are you going to do to me? Come at me. No, it's like, I am hurt that you guys did this to me, and I made shrimp, and you didn't say anything when I made the shrimp. And so it's like, it's tapping into them being mean to her when they're losing their minds because they feel like she's being mean to them. So when she's saying stuff like, Genevieve, I was at home grieving while you were out fucking other guys. So basically insinuating I'm better than you and more kind than you. Oh yeah. And so that just makes them lose their minds, dude. Like, she's so that's what I can't figure out. Is she playing a role, or is she like actually this in her own brain that like this makes sense to her? Because even the Elizabeth shrimp thing, I'm going, you think that's you think that's an actual comment?
You never see her lose it.
No.
She never loses it.
That's why I think
even
it's real.
if it's like when you look at like, dude, what the heck is wrong with this person? She never loses her demeanor. She's always just, yeah, I did that. Deal with it. And everyone can't deal with it. And that was in the Genevieve confrontation when she's like, you accused me of acting. You told Clayton I was acting towards him. Meanwhile, when we watch the show, you are congratulating yourself on your own acting performance, comparing yourself to Meryl Streep, commending like this, that, you know, like that you're so shocked. I couldn't believe they manifested the tears, like all this stuff. And she's just like, yeah, I did that. And she's like, and what do you have to say? And she's like, well, I did pretty good. And then she's like
short circuiting. Like,
it's like, dude, just take a breath and realize like you don't get to make people like she's a grown woman. You're not in a situation to like teach her and this. You just have to like acknowledge like, okay, that is her. Move on.
Right.
Move past it. She's not a part of your life anymore unless you let her be a part of your life.
Well, and it's like the classic, like, they wanted an apology. They wanted her to come in and be like, you guys, I lost my mind in the show and I shouldn't have done that. They got the opposite. They got a more double down Shanae. And I think that's what blew their mind is they thought, oh, we're going to get the human side of her. We're going to get her, the role's going to be put away. The facade. It's like, no, you don't realize. And this is why I'm thinking this is her.
And now,
like,
and let's be honest. How fucking boring would that have been?
Oh, right.
How boring would that have been?
This was an electric women tell all because of how crazy.
Juicy.
She made everybody.
Yeah.
But it was like, you can't, another slight side thing that like, I don't feel like is being highlighted, but like still is like one of the most interesting things to me about her was the shrimp gate. Because I'm going, Elizabeth goes, Shanae goes, well, we were really close and we were like best friends in the house. And you basically changed overnight and blah, 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 and didn't talk to me, didn't look at me anymore. And then Elizabeth is like, I talked to you for 5 minutes the first night. If that is what you think close friendship is, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And then Shanae's just like, nope, you're a two-faced bitch. And I was like, Shanae, like, don't you realize how insane this is? Like, you talked to someone for 20 minutes one night, and then you ate all their shrimp, and then you made them shrimp, and you're pissed that they didn't like celebrate you. Like, it's very 5-year-old. It's very 5 or 6-year-old.
But then you know what? So then this is what I think is funny is, so as much as they want to hold her accountable for all her own stuff, you put someone else in the hot seat. You put Sarah. Let's go into the Sarah situation. Hey, Sarah, please explain why you over-embellished all your situations with Clayton. First off, A, why'd you do that? Second, why are you lying about your situations with Clayton to the rest of the girls? And are you ever going to admit that there was like some alternate, why do you feel so self-conscious to come in and share situations of closeness with Clayton that didn't happen and say that you were just trying to be friendly with everybody? She never answered the question. And that's, to me, is like, okay, so like you're doing the same thing, but almost worse, because you just are like trying to, she's really desperately trying to maintain this thing with everybody. Shanae is at least like, fuck you guys.
Right. I'm going to be the villain. Let's roll.
I'm never going to I'm not trying to appease anybody.
Right.
All of you can suck it.
I'm going to manipulate. I'm going to backstab to get my way to the top. I'm going to do whatever it takes.
And Sarah's like, let's just, you guys,
let's
like, why do you have to talk about it? Like, let's just be friends.
Right.
Can't we just like realize like, I never intentionally set out to hurt somebody? It was like, no, you intentionally lied to everyone. You're refusing to admit it. It's like, to me, it's like, it's not that it's no different or whatever, but I'm like, it's the same. It's a different side of the same coin. Mm-hmm. Of like, dude, you are also not able to just own up to these things. None of these women were able to own up to the negative sides of themselves. And the ones who had, I mean, look, this ties into our conversation later on Clayton. Every one of them had the opportunity to take a high road in those situations,
Big time, yeah.
and they all chose the lowest road. There was a
couple that were good. Like I felt like kept ahead. Like Marlena kept the head on her shoulders a couple times. The few times that she added in, she was just kind of like, she seemed to be kind of mature about the whole thing. She was going a little more chill with it. But yeah, I people lost their minds. Dude, how funny was when Lindsay, she said, I hope you rot in Ohio.
Oh my God, dude, that was
the reason why that cracked me up, because I like pictured her at like 6 years old saying, I hope you rot in hell. But then her mom just walks in. So she goes, I hope you rot in Ohio.
Oh, like, yeah, dude. Well, she didn't want to be bleeped out.
Ohio.
She didn't want to be bleeped out or have that portion cut for whatever reason.
Or just have her maybe like, yeah, maybe she has some guilt about saying, I hope you rot in hell. But like, rot in Ohio? I hope you rot in Milwaukee.
What about Shanae calling the girl out about filters?
Dude, well, I think there was multiple. There was crosstalk. So that was one of the worst. And I think that's where the episode got gross to me.
This is where the episode, okay, and this is where my criticism is on the host.
Oh, right.
Jesse Palmer was just like slitting back. He's like, in commercial break. All right, everyone stop, commercial break. There was no like, this is getting way out of hand.
Well, he also didn't have the power. You can see he didn't have like the experience or power, because like there was multiple times where he goes, "Okay, guys,
hey guys," and no one's listening to him. And he's like, "All right,
just blowing him off like it's
just
nothing."
Gonna go. This was the most out of control tell-all.
It was the most out of control. The tell-all was, it got gross to me because of when it started to go, like the comment about the diaper. And then the face filter stuff. Because there's a different, you can go all day about how someone acts in the show or how they act out of the show. But when you start making fun of people the way they look, that's when it's like, you're just a mean person. And I just didn't like, so like when she made the diaper comment, I was like, that's a real comment. And that's really mean. And
it's on TV and then forever.
And then Shanae made a comment to Hunter, because Hunter chimed in at one point about like the Aaron situation. And then she was kind of like, she looked at her and was like you would know. Basically insinuating like anyone like or Aaron would ever hit on you. Mm-hmm. You and your face filters online. Like that's another just like really shameful thing to say to someone. And then someone yelled out, I don't know if she yelled it, but someone, or if it was yelled at Shanae. I didn't catch, but someone yelled like, unfortunately for you, you can't use Facetune on Paradise.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, Jesus, like,
dude,
you
that's
guys,
what
like, this is
watching
gross.
with me. Becca was watching with me and she's like, dude, like, she's like, these women are like, she's like, this is so sad.
It's sad.
Seeing of like, but you know what? You and I were talking about how boring the show had gotten, of everyone being like, you know what? Like, I was just, I was a little bit out of hand.
Right.
The show got to me and I kind of lost control. I just want to take this moment to apologize to everybody.
Not
be
this
like,
one.
yeah, we all said the maturity doesn't make good reality TV.
Right.
And now we just got a heavy dose of immature behavior.
Yeah.
And we're all sort of like, what in the world? Like, who are these? Like, these are not adults.
Yeah.
When you're looking at it, and it's just like, well, we asked for it.
Yeah, it was
we
interesting.
certainly asked for it. We got a big dose of what we asked for.
Because Shanae doubled down, right, in a big way. She, by far, like, just the worst person on the show by a mile. Like, so mean, manipulative, sociopathic, lying. I mean, just displaying every behavior you could write in the book for, like, bad behavior. And then this was, like, the first time we saw, like, everyone just guard down, cameras off, let's go. Like, it almost felt like if you were just to see them run into each other.
You see it all the way to the top. And so, like, so to me, like, one of the worst things was when Shanae brought up the Aaron situation. And what does the host do? Did you sleep with Aaron?
Yeah.
Explain what happened with Aaron. Did Aaron? Was Aaron in your DMs? What happened there?
She was stoking Shanae.
Oh my God! And I'm like, dude, like, this is, what are you doing?
That's personal.
Why are you encouraging questions like that? Why are you even? The girls were like, yo, this is way out of line. The girls were like, this needs to stop. Do not explain yourself. And then like Teddy comes in and he again is like, hey, like, juicy gossip that has nothing to do with the show. Who slid into your DMs?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. And let's just shame the fuck out of Clayton's family now.
Yeah.
Be like, bro, what is wrong with you?
It was.
And be like,
it was
that's a producer controlled. That is producer moves right there. That's the show. Just like, the show gives zero fucks about any of these people.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of brutal.
It just
that way.
chews them up. And
It does feel like that.
I was really disappointed in that because I was like, dude, this is all just like saturated with like, it's just pathetic to me to be like, why are you talking about their personal dating lives? We're not watching the show for their personal dating lives. Go out of your way and follow them on their social media if you want to know about this stuff. But like, this is just to talk about people's behaviors and own up to whatever they did on the show. Why are we talking about this other stuff?
Yeah.
I was really grossed out by that more than anything, to be honest.
Ooh, it was lit though. They were going
delivered.
off on each other.
It delivered.
It delivered big time. Because we remember, let us be very real. The whole time we've been reviewing this season, me and Gray have been saying, just wait till the tell-all. I mean, it's gonna be insane.
It's gonna be insane. It was. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Fantasy suites.
So now we go into this. So the first one was Rachel. What did you think about that one?
It was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. And it was like, boom, like all over on top of him. They had hardly any conversation.
Yeah.
It just jumped to, we're going to fantasy suites.
Right. By the way, helicopter number 5?
Yeah.
I mean, when they hit with a helicoptering, I was like, no way.
They're going to
helicopter.
At least she got, you know what? One of the first helicopter rides, she was like, that should be me in there of anyone who should be in the helicopter. She wanted to be in the helicopter because of her flight school background. Sure,
right. I didn't even think about that.
She got what she wanted, and she got the Icelandic tour, which to me would be, that's the helicopter ride I would prefer over just cityscape.
I don't remember, but why didn't they do like a plane fly up when they did Hometowns? Why didn't she take him up in like a plane?
I don't know.
That would have been the most obvious.
Because I think it's probably played out. I mean, I liked the Everglades thing that they were doing.
No, but I'm just saying, wouldn't that have been sick? If she would have been like, hop in the plane, like,
but you know what? Unless you're sitting side by side, like unless you're in a tiny prop plane where you're sitting side by side, it wouldn't have made for good filming unless they were to set them up with like all kinds of external like GoPro type stuff. Because in the helicopters they have room for like whole
seats,
crew,
whatever,
and also it's not that intimate. Like flying next to someone is not nearly as intimate as being like, I have an idea.
Right.
Let's canoe down the Everglades together to this like kissing tree and find an isolated lagoon where we'll take all our clothes off and just make out violently and then roll around in the sand.
But I just wanted to see the plane fly. I was hoping, but
well, I would want to just see her do tricks in the plane. Like
there you go, like Red Bull.
Yeah, just be like, dude, if this is what you're good at, like let's see some cool stuff.
You know what I liked though about the Rachel date? I liked how she called him out, like in the cave, basically, for being like, you're not really opening up. I kind of liked that. It was kind of like the first time in a while that like we're seeing that dynamic, and obviously the whole episode becomes this, but like the dynamic shift between like he's in pure control and he's just going, I like what you're giving to me. Well, that checked, another box checked. It was the kind of like, okay, now we're at a point now where it's like the girls can be like,
what are we getting?
What are we doing here? Because Rachel was like, was saying to him, hey, like, I'm asking you how you're doing. I'm asking you how you're feeling about this process. I'm asking all this stuff. And you just kind of give me like, I'm doing good. I'm really liking what you're seeing. And I'm like really liking what I'm seeing. It's a little bit like, she kind of wasn't okay with. She was like, yeah, that's not really like. Are we only physical here? Like,
this is where I think her friend from home is in the back of her head of like, what's going on? Like, you know that there are some women who are only going to fantasy suites to be in fantasy suites.
Right.
That's the only reason he kept them around.
Yes.
And I think she's realizing that might be her position.
I completely agree. I think they have a crazy sexual chemistry.
I don't see it going past that.
But they never seem to be having like in-depth conversations that are like that. So I think you're,
and you know, again, we only see what we're seeing, but if she's having to ask him to go past that, you know, it's not happening.
Right. If it's not naturally already happening,
we can assume it's not happening. So that's
just make out the whole
That's a
time.
good point. That's a really good point to bring up. That was sort of what it was just nothing but them making out, and then it went straight into fantasy suites where you see her lie backwards on the bed, and you're like, cool, we know what happens now.
That was basically what would have happened at like if they would have met and date 2 would have hooked up. That's what would have happened, but it was a full show of that being played out. Mm-hmm. Like he probably had the highest sexual connection with her out of everyone,
of everything
and
we've
then
seen.
It kind of like he wasn't really checking in on like, are we even compatible?
Yeah.
You know? And then she started to check in and go like, wait, why aren't you giving me more than this? And he's just like, totally.
You
want to skip dinner? Like that was the vibe a little bit.
I'll do that. Let's just go to let's get this part out of the way. Are we going to go to fantasy suites? I'll talk to you. I'll open up to you in private. How about we do that?
And he did say like, you know, I'm falling in love with you, but I think it was like falling into lust,
falling into just falling into extreme like lusty.
Exactly.
Okay, broads, interrupting the bros one more time. You know how you learn in like 3rd grade science class that there are no 2 sets of fingerprints that are alike? Well, I would like to throw my non-science backed opinion out there and say I also think that there are no 2 people's hair that is exactly alike. I mean, seriously, hair is so unique to the individual. Not only are we all born with different textures, colors, our daily life, like what type of water we wash it with, the products we use, etc. They all affect your hair. So why are we all using one size fits all hair care? No more, thanks to Function of Beauty.
Function of Beauty works for everyone because it's 100% customizable, made for your hair and no one else's. Okay, Function of Beauty is actually the world's first fully customizable hair care. They have customizable shampoos, conditioners, styling products, treatments, all designed to give you the hair that you're meant to have. And to get started, you just head over to their site, you take a quick hair quiz, you build your profile, you set your hair goals, and the hair goals are kind of like, are you looking for more length, or like, do you want to repair color damage, stuff like that.
Then you just have to choose your color and fragrance, or go fragrance free if you'd rather. And just like that, your custom formulas are ready to be made and shipped right to your door. I love my Function of Beauty products, and I actually just got my mom fully hooked on them. Ooh. She's got, the platinum blonde, the extensions, and she struggles finding a shampoo that like protects the color but also keeps her hair shiny and healthy, and she is loving her Function of Beauty.
Cool. Say goodbye to generic hair care for good today. Go to functionofbeauty.com/chatty. You can take your hair goals quiz. You're gonna also save 25% on your first order. So just go to functionofbeauty.com/chatty. Let them know you heard about it from our show, and you can get 25% off your first order. That's functionofbeauty.com/chatty to take your hair quiz and save 25% on your first order. And you're going to be taking your hair care to the next level, baby.
Mm-hmm. Broads, you might know that Peloton started as a bike, that phenomenon, the bike, but it also is so much more than that now, and they just keep getting better. Peloton is now the one app for all your daily movement, from yoga to bar to strength to guided runs, whatever kind of movement you're into. Peloton has tons of options for you to try out. I have been loving their newest offering, boxing. It's fast, fun, it's perfect for every level, and no gloves needed.
Love it.
Yes.
Okay, I had almost no boxing experience when I tried Peloton's boxing classes, so I was a little unsure if I'd enjoy it or not. I had so much fun. And before I knew it, the class was over and I had gotten in an amazing workout. I was sweating my ass off. The instructors somehow make the classes feel personal to you. You feel like you're right there in the studio with them, even though the workouts are actually taking place like 3 feet from my couch. And Peloton makes working out simple by letting you move on your terms in your space. I've been using their app even without the bike for years now, and I love it.
Fantastic. And when it's also most convenient for you, by the way. That's what I love most about Peloton. Sometimes I only have time to get into a workout super early in the morning or on a lunch break or after Ember goes to bed. But no matter what time of day I can get it or how much time I have to spare, there are hundreds of classes to pick from on Peloton, so my workouts always feel fresh and they work with my schedule.
Love that.
Yeah.
For a limited time, try the Peloton app for free for 2 months. And then it's only $12.99 a month after. That's for new members only. So visit onepeloton.com/app to learn more. That's 2 free months at onepeloton.com/app.
And like last thing I want to say on that is one of the things that she was like saying about herself and what she wanted from this experience was to be taken seriously and like respected in her relationship on career goal points. It's clear like she leads physically in her like that's how she led in establishing her connection with him. But the point that she was making throughout the show was like, my career is going to be respected and valued.
Right.
I didn't put in the time to complete the pilot school training, like the hundreds of hours it takes.
Just to give it up and move wherever he wants to. Or
and
whatever.
what they're not talking about is how fucking expensive that is how she was paying for that in the other end. I mean, when we meet her family, it's not like you get the idea of like, oh shit, they're just paying out of pocket. Daddy's little girl does whatever she wants, dude.
She was hustling.
She's grinding to get that opportunity for herself. And she's just like, I want to see that reflected in my partner's understanding and value of me and how they see me.
Yeah.
And it's and like, I think, he's talking about that. To me, it's just like disappointing to see her like questioning that with him.
Yeah.
And
realizing, wait a second, is this mostly physical? Because he doesn't really say much.
And I just want to be like, dude, like it's hard to fucking ask those questions. That's a really vulnerable point to bring up, is just like, why aren't you opening up to me? What are you thinking of me?
Yeah.
What am I doing in this? And that's where I'm just like, anyway, I was just thinking about that when you said it. And it's like, to me, it's important to be, I think like, I also just was watching like Rachel's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And she should have a dude that's going to be like, fuck, I want to support a badass pilot.
Yeah.
Who also wants to support you. She's like,
but we also know that can be hard for guys. Powerful women or women in places, working in cool jobs who are independently successful. A lot of guys have a hard time with that because it threatens their feeling of being the man or
we've talked about that. Dynamics in our house and our households switch up. Yeah. Evan and I are like quite often in the stay-at-home dad or like, I don't know what you'd call it. The like dad, mommy.
Well, I would say, it's like, I don't really know how it is for you guys, but it's like, at least for me, it's like, we're so much more partners than a traditional, because it's like, we work together on having a child together. Cause it's like, okay, cool. You got work. Cool. I got the next 3 days. I'm gone. Cool. Jess, you got to handle the kiddo on this. Okay, cool. Jess has 3 things. Okay. Now I'll kind of figure it out. Like, it's so much more of a partnership that way. And I think a lot of guys, and it seems like Clayton's this kind of guy, like probably would struggle with like having a badass partner versus like, he just doesn't seem to like, he seems, I don't know. It just would be, long story short, I bet for Rachel, it is tough.
Yeah.
Sometimes, to deal with that. But it was tough to see, what was such a strong physical connection seem to be the pillar of what they have, because everyone out, like a couple of, with Susie, a lot of conversation, Gabby, a lot of conversation with Rachel. It's a lot of just kind of like, haha, fun. And then all of a sudden it's like, they're making out again, So I think she started to feel that probably and kind of go, wait a second. Dude,
Gabby?
I'm obsessed with Gabby.
Gabby's was tight.
Well, Gabby just in general, I've been such a fan of her from the beginning because first of all, she's never really in the drama.
Nope.
And she's genuinely nice to people that are like in this situation, her enemies. Like she walks into a room and she'll just look at both the ladies and be like, oh my God, you guys look so pretty. And she means it. Like she's not saying it through her teeth. No. And then she'll be like, how are you guys doing? I missed you. Like when she sees them for the first time, she walks up and just is like, I missed you guys. And it's like, oh, she's so sweet and she's laughing constantly. Like
I also like that she's like, hey, like we said we weren't going to be like, negative to each other from whatever happens to this point. And she's like maintaining that. She also, to me, like, I think Rachel doesn't really get the point we don't get to see this point yet, but like Gabby's understanding of like what is going on at this part of the show just seemed like the most grounded.
I completely agree.
Where she's like not letting Rachel's high energy coming in to be like, I'm apologizing in advance. Be like, she's like, cool, I'm going to go get ready.
Yep.
Because now it's my turn. I've seen the show. I've seen how it goes. You rode high. She's like, I'm about to go in and do the same thing. We all have our own place. And like, I'm going to shove that one to the side and just like focus on what I'm about to go do and my connection with Clayton right now. And I was just like, dude, that is.
Well, do you remember what she said?
No.
She goes, listen, I told Clayton, I want you to explore every relationship. I want you to go all the way. I want you to figure it out. And at the end, I want you to choose me. So she definitely seems to have the most comprehensive view and understanding and grasp on the whole process. Because like you said, Rachel comes back on a high and she doesn't freak out. And then you see Susie freaking out. You know what I mean?
Susie's like, eyes.
Susie's like, I was not ready for this. Where Gabby has like already kind of gotten her brain around the whole concept and was like, I know this is going to come. I know I want to be chosen for me and I don't want him to go what if. So I'm going to let him get the what if out of the way. So if I'm the one, I get chosen. I thought that was really cool just because then she entered the date and she's immediately laughing.
Yeah.
Immediately having a blast. They're laughing together. She's teasing him. He's teasing her. Like they were having, like, she is just so nice to be around, I bet. That like, she's just kind of, I don't know. Like there's really no negatives. It's like, she's just so fun and like she's a confidence about, like she struggled with opening it up or whatever, but like she has such a strong awareness of like where she fits and where she sits in this whole process and where he is. And I don't know, she just seemed a little bit more like the one who kind of got it all, which was really nice to see. And then they were able to laugh and have fun. And she didn't let the insecurities of the whole thing ruin her experience.
No. And it's funny to me because she also says stuff that can come off as like, you could easily mistake you could easily look at her and be like, okay, she's immature.
Right.
In these ways, but like her control in those situations is like, no.
Her delivery can sound immature or whatever, but she's actually
to being just like whatever. But like roll it off her shoulder. Control and her attitude and composure and all those things is like very high.
It is funny because she is kind of just, dude, when her, like what her grandpa called her, like a dingbat or something like that.
Oh, she's been a dingbat since day one.
It's like she's got this kind of funny, lovable kind of like,
bubbly,
I don't know what's going
out to
on,
lunch
but realistically,
attitude.
She does.
I love that phrase, out to lunch.
That's like my dad says that kind of stuff. Oh, he's out to lunch.
Yeah.
But like, she kind of appears like she doesn't know what's going on. But then when you actually watch it, you're like, oh, she's in full control of herself and what's happening. She's never like, what's happening? She's like, yeah, I don't know. Very lovable, very nice, very like mature. I really like Gabby.
Yeah.
Gabby's my favorite by far. And I think that's it. I think that's the end of the episode, right?
Yeah. That's what I have to say. Let's go on to the main course.
Nothing happened.
Nothing else happened.
So then he says, I'm falling in love with both of them, and then has sex with both of them.
Well, no,
so that's what we're leading into Susie with.
Well, this is also an important thing is Rachel had said she's falling in love with him first, and then he caught back up to her. With Gabby, he goes way out of his way he's like riding the high of being like, I'm emotionally open to my feelings now. And like, I'm realizing like I can say these things and like, it's going to be whatever. And he just like jumps on that horse with Gabby and is like, before he gets into it's almost like he feels like he needs to say it for them to want to go into fantasy suites with him. Like it seemed really strategic to be like, before we read this card, I just want to take this time to tell you I'm falling in love with you. And here's all these reasons why. And it was like this super like justified, like, I'm falling in love with you because of this whole experience leading up.
Yeah.
Where it's like, dude, all you needed to say is that you're feeling it. And I thought, dude, Gabby's was sort of like, where the fuck is this coming from? She was sort of like, I don't know if I'm about to say the same. And she didn't say the same. She goes, I adore you. Which I thought was hilarious because I was like, bro, she does not seem to be falling in love with you, homie.
That's a really great response to someone who says I love you.
She's like, this is really special. I absolutely adore you. But dude, she just like belittled him down to like, you're just like a cute little fucking teddy bear to her, dude. She's gonna storm right through you.
She just seems to have control, of that. But then, I mean, like when someone says they love you, definitely in your brain, you're like, okay, this is serious. We're on a whole nother level here.
She rolled back a little bit though. That's what I saw. I saw her have the like, why are you saying this, homie? Like, stop. Stop.
Wait, so she hadn't said I'm falling in love. She had said I'm falling in love with him before.
I don't recall, but she fucking didn't like, her reaction wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. She was just like, that's sweet. I adore you.
I adore you is a good one. It's
like, she was like sort of
better
like,
version of thanks.
She like choked on her food a little bit. Was just like looking around for help. Yeah. She's like, what the fuck is he doing? Stop it, dude. Stop it. And then, so anyway, it's an important thing to me because I'm like, he jumped the gun on that. And then when we go to Susie.
Oh, by the way, real quick, 2 minutes. We never talked about Clayton in the men tell all.
Oh God.
He got brutalized.
Which was weird to me.
I felt good about it because I was like because the whole thing, all the women, which I felt justified on their behalf of, which was like, we lost a lot of respect for you for keeping Shanae around. Like you had every woman in the house telling you this is a horrible person. They are poisoning the well. It is a nightmare in here. Right? It wasn't like one person said it. It was like 18 of them said, this person is horrific. And then she was throwing trophies and all this shit. And he just kept her around. And every woman was like, we lost most respect for you because you just kept her around, which is like, clearly you had the hots for her and that's why you kept her around. And it's like, it was nice to see him kind of like quivering. He was
because he's also like, he can't say like, you think I had a fucking choice?
Oh, you mean like producer wise?
Yeah. He can't just be like, dude, like, do you think like I have full-fledged freedom to just decide what is happening?
I think there's truth to that, but I also would counter with the fact that like, there's a difference between them forcing you to keep someone on and then like, making out with them every chance you have and like also immediately forgiving them for anything they have.
They're forgetting that like his perspective is like what Clayton did was like, okay, I'm hearing all your guys' side of the story. Let's hear their side of the story. Because he's also been a contestant where he's like, dude, anyone who gets elevated for any reason gets a target on their back. And so you have to take everything everyone else is saying with a grain of salt because there's extreme jealousy at play. And also everyone seems to forget what show they're on.
Right.
It's like, dude, what are you guys talking about at a certain way?
You didn't feel like he deserved to get roasted for like keeping her on.
I think it's like, okay, like explain what it's, to me, it's like all the justification they need was in the edit. They could watch the show and see his experience with Shanae removed from the group and realize he's never in the house at the same time as you guys when Shanae's doing all this stuff to you guys.
Right.
What do you want to hold him account? Like, okay, so he didn't take you at your word. He also didn't just take everybody at their word when they threw everyone else under the bus.
But let's be real, dude. Like, let's be real. Throwing trophies and all this stuff. Like, there was a lot of like, and like if I was sitting with someone and someone said to me, I hate this person because I made them shrimp and they didn't say thank you. And then the next one was I threw their trophy across the pool. And then the next one is they interrupted the entire group date and screwed over everyone. Like, there was enough that was happening in front of him to be like, this person's crazy.
Then when the trophy thing happened, he was like, you don't throw trophies.
Well, okay,
you don't throw trophies because in the interview,
so you're just saying he's dumb man brain kind of thing.
Yeah, because duh. But in the interview, he says the trophy was the thing for him. That's what was like, he's like, when I heard you threw the trophy, I was like, that's not okay.
See, for me, if I would have heard the shrimp one, I would have been like,
they went, because after the trophies was the 2-on-1,
Right.
and then the 2-on-1 was when she went home. The shrimp one for me is like when you're hearing this of like people are bickering and they're like, yeah, my shrimp, yeah, da, da, da. And you're just like, dude, you guys shut up.
No, but that's what I'm saying. People aren't. Shanae was. That's my point. My point is that Shanae was going, and then I made her shrimp and she didn't even look at me when I made the shrimp. And then Elizabeth looks at Clayton and goes, are you hearing this? Like, this is what she's saying.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're talking about right now.
I mean,
that's why I'm going, if I would have heard the shrimp thing, I would have been like, okay.
yeah, but then here's the thing though. Here's the thing though, is at that point, there were so many girls left on the show. And this is where I think producers are having the behind the scene conversation of like, how much do you care about either of these women? And he's probably like, honestly, like not much. There's not much, like, I'm not super into Elizabeth. We made out.
Right.
Since then, it's like, I don't know. I'm not having like this emotional read to like choose one over the other. And producers were probably just like, we want you to let it play out, see what happens. You make your choice or whatever. But like we would have liked to see Shanae on the show more. We want more of her.
Got it.
That's my thought.
Sure.
It's super easy. And it's like, I mean, it's super early. And to me, that's an easy read on those situations.
Yeah. Okay.
But now we get to really pick apart Clayton's behavior.
Yeah.
Because it's the most transparent. We see the man brain come out, just the child. Okay. On to Susie
and Clayton's date. Pretty interesting date, by the way. The whole
yeah, I mean,
the whole like spa thing. It looked like torturous, but kind of fun. Like I think I would have had a blast.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, let's go there before we go into all the other stuff. I loved that they set it up like it's going to be a hot springs situation.
And she's like, nope, I'm good. I'm like, she was like, dude. I'm already in my head about this whole thing and I've been struggling all week. And now you're going to make me be cold, dude.
They're just torturing her of like made her go last. And now they're just like, hey, by the way, you're in Iceland and we're just going to put you outside naked and get you into ice pools.
Yeah.
And we're going to sprinkle you with cold water and then send you outside. And at no point is there like there's no hot pool that you see him get into.
Like at the very end, they're like in the shower,
hot
or
shower.
And it's
Just,
like
dude, so
freezing for an hour.
There's no like when they did the salt scrub, I was like, okay, like when do you get into a sauna?
Yeah.
When are you gonna get into like a sulfur bath? Yeah. When are you gonna get into like something? And it was like, no, you just get a shower. We just tortured you.
It's like I could have just gone outside the whole time. Why did I need to pay for this?
A hot rock massage or like something. Yeah, exactly. You could have just gone stood outside in the rain.
Right.
It's pretty much what they did.
And then
it's like Navy SEAL torture.
Right. You're like, dude, why did I pay for this? I could have just walked outside with my bathing suit on.
Getting sleep. They're depriving her of sleep and food, and they're getting her emotionally charged, and then they're physically torturing her. And then they're like, cool, now
they're like, have a conversation at dinner. So then we get into dinner.
And
then it happens, right? Everything happens.
And the bomb is dropped.
The bomb is dropped.
Now, what's your thought on the bomb drop?
You know, my whole thing is, it was a bit, I mean, I'm not shocked because she definitely did seem to be on the more like traditional path when it comes to relationships, or, you know, I don't see her slightly having the same take as Gabby did, which was like, go explore all your relationships, do everything you want to do so that you get it out of your system, and then we can, you know, she had kind of made mention of like, you know, I don't want him to be hooking up with other people, blah, blah, blah.
She's more conservative
that way. So for me, where it like came down to was like, she had every right to feel how she felt. I think where the misstep was not communicating it before. And I think that's where his original beef was too, was like, why didn't you tell me this? I thought we were good, blah, blah, blah. But then I also have this sense of like, I also told like this is what I was thinking about. I thought if that was my daughter, I'd be really proud, because I'd be like, I'm proud that you stuck up for what is powerful to you. You didn't succumb to the show. You didn't just say, well, everyone else is doing it, so I should be chill too, right? You kind of said, you know what? No, I've crossed too many lines. I'm not okay with this. If I'm going to be engaged, I don't want my husband just having had sex with multiple people 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of the first time that I was like, okay, you know what? Like, That's actually very legit and cool to say about like feelings. And I think most people wouldn't be okay with it. I think people just swallow it to get through it. I just think where it went wrong was like, if he doesn't know that, he's probably thinking you're like Gabby, like that you're just like, I'm cool with the process as it goes, blah, blah, blah. We're going to figure this out. And I think that's where it's like, if she would have communicated that, she could have really known ahead of time, like this isn't for me, or known where his head was at, or they could have had a conversation.
Well, and that's where my problem. So I have a couple things, which is like the sentiment of what she's leading with, like what's fueling that. Fine.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it.
Not
like,
at all.
It's totally fine. The issues I have are Clayton never had the opportunity to prove one way or the other that he would respect those choices, or that he would respect those expectations of her or live up to them. It was like a silent test that he was being put through, which is in total contradiction to what the show is making him do.
Right.
And I think that's wildly unfair. It also brings up the question to me of like, if that's how you feel, what are you doing here? Why are you allowing yourself to go into these situations without previously voicing them? That's something you could bring up at hometowns. That's something you could bring up before hometowns. If that's a value that you hold dear, and that's a way that you want to be respected and seen in the relationship and valued by your partner, that's not a silent test. That's not a surprise. You failed this and now there's nothing you can do to come back from it. And that's where I was disappointed, was like, that's not like to me, and that's where I see like, this is where I empathized with Clayton, and the experience was in the beginning, I thought he was doing a pretty good job, because
of the conversation.
When she sprung that on him, you see he wants to lead with frustration, and instead he just goes, yes, I have said feelings of love towards the other girls, and yes, I did sleep with people, or a person. I slept with person.
And then he's trying to downplay like 2 or 3 minutes later, he goes,
but I also,
both the ladies.
But also, like, I don't blame him, because he's sort of like, why are we, like, this is coming out of left field.
Right.
And what she also said was, if you did that, we are done. And he's like,
did you say we're
like,
done, or like, I don't know how
she's
this
like,
can go
I don't
forward.
know how I could possibly go forward. And to him, he's hearing that you're done. Right. And in his mind, he's like, you're my number one.
Right.
You're the number one. There's a reason why you were saved for last. I'm telling you, I love you.
He even said, I love you the most.
I love you the most.
Which
he's
is
like,
so
dude,
weird.
He's trying to tell her, like, dude, like, you, what are you? You're the person who I was planning that, like, this was who I see my future with. And he was just like, dude, like, why is there no opportunity to resolve this? And he even said, and this is where I felt really bad for him, is he was like, and I believed him too, when he was like, if you had told me that, I would not have compromised my relationship. I would have done things very differently. If you had explicitly said that was a boundary that you wanted respected, I wholeheartedly believe Clayton would not have slept with either of the women. That's what I want to believe.
Right. And I think that at first take, I go, yes, I believe him too. Here's where I then started to go, I don't think I believe him. I think he feels mad that he didn't know this beforehand. But if he truly felt like Susie was the one, I guess I feel a little bit like he doesn't have to say he loves both of them, and he doesn't have to say that he'd sleep with both of them.
Nope.
Right? If I had my one, and then the other two were like, I really liked them a lot, but like they're not my one, then why would I say I love them both and sleep with them both? What I kind of feel like from him a little bit is that like he got busted a little bit. Not being a bad person, but he got busted trying to have everything.
I think
like
that's
all the cake and eat it too. And he put it in the confines of the show being like, oh, well, the show is set up for this. When in reality, it's like he was trying to have sex with all 3 women, say he loved all 3 women, and just see how it played out. And I think it kind of just bit him. And he had to know Susie was more conservative. He had to know that, like,
I personally think that's I think that's an unfair perspective to take. I think it's like I'm going to say it's a sexist perspective to take, because it's an easy one to judge him on his decisions in the past when he never even had an opportunity to live up to those expectations. And we've had these conversations Where like, look, if we go back to another person's season, Hannah Brown's season, Luke P is shaming her for those same things. And he did that exact thing.
Yeah.
He put his foot in the ground and said, I don't like that you did this. And that means it's over for me. And she's like, fuck you. There's nothing wrong with that. I did that. You didn't lay that boundary down. And if we had that same perspective of like, if she had really loved him, she shouldn't have done that. That's, dude, to me, that has no merit in this. Like he didn't know he didn't explicitly know that that's something that she held so close and that was a boundary she didn't want crossed.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's unfair to be like, well, and when she even says, she goes, I didn't want to put an ultimatum. And what I said watching that, I was like, you didn't give him an ultimatum.
Yeah.
You didn't communicate that this was important to you. There's two parts to this, is everything he does after that point is made clear of like, hey, like you didn't communicate this.
Then like that was, because I agree with you.
This is where everything's
gone.
wrong.
And by the way, I'm not saying he couldn't have sex with those women. I'm not saying he shouldn't have had sex with those women. I'm more saying you played with fire and you got burnt.
Oh, totally.
And you know Susie, who's the more conservative, traditional person. So you know that she's not going to love it. And so it's more like, if my point to it was not that he shouldn't have done it. My point was like, you know, if she really is the one you like the most and you know she's going to have the biggest problem with it, might not be smart to try and do it. And so the fact that he did it and then got burnt is not like shocking.
Well, and that's where I'm like, if we're going to hang somebody for their actions, hang them for the right actions.
Right.
And so to me, it's like what he did wrong was the second half of dinner, where like, okay, like you made your points.
Yeah.
Where she went wrong was you didn't make your points up front. And now you're just putting your boundary down. And there's nothing wrong with that, where she's like, hey, I'm realizing I'm sorry I didn't make it clearer to you, but now that it's known, like I can't move forward with this. He couldn't swallow that. And now's where you see him not respecting that boundary that she has now, even if she articulated it late, she just articulated it. She just put the boundary in place. And now you have to respect that boundary, Clayton. And you see him get hurt.
Pissed.
And what he does with that pain, instead of swallow it, is he makes the choice. He goes, now I'm going to make you hurt. I'm going to make you feel bad.
I want to make you cry.
Because basically. I feel like the little kid inside me feels like this is unfair. And now I need justice and retribution. And now because you just hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. And I'm going to embarrass you. And I'm going to do it, in the most fucking sterile way, the most cold-hearted way possible.
Well, it was just classic, like when someone feels out of control and they're questioning themselves whether they did the right thing or not. And instead of being super humble, it's like when you say sorry to someone and they don't give you the response you want back, then you start going, well, fuck you. Like that's what started happening when he goes, if I would have known this, I wouldn't have acted the same way. And then she just kind of goes, well, personally, for me, my husband wouldn't have done this. And then he starts to then go, well, you, and then this, and then the voice starts to rise. And it's like, I'm not getting the response I wanted.
That's the moment where it's like, in hindsight, what could have easily happened was like, can we take 5? Like, can both of us just take 5 minutes right now and like go in the other room and just sort of like process everything that's been laid out? By
the time they took the break, it was too late. The damage was done.
Well, and where I commend Susie again was, she started noticing it. She just stood up. She's like, fucking end this.
I need a break.
And that was merciful to be like, she started to see him slipping. And to me, she was just like, and we're up and we're out. And like, this is ending. This needs to stop. It reminded me of arguments where like, I'll get in an argument with Becca and I'll see red and I'm not coming down. I'm not calming down. And I'm not even like, I'm just, it's like where if she gets up and leaves, I'm following. And
yeah, because you're like, you didn't get the reaction you wanted.
And she turns and she's like, you need to stop. And like, I'm separating from you right now. And like, you need to go calm the fuck down because there's no conversation having anymore. This isn't productive. There's no like, this is just now you're mad and you're hurt. and now you just want to do that. And that's where it's like, I see it happening. We're all guilty of it.
Oh my gosh.
And that's something where it's like, I don't think Clayton went over the top in this way that's like exceptionally whatever. We're just seeing a camera on ourselves. This is most people in a couple's argument, to be honest. And it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. And it's like, it's cringy. It's super fucked up and cringy.
And he was like, where it kind of messed me up too, it felt better was like when she was like, I was just, to be honest with you, like, he's not being kind in this conversation. And it was like, and he was getting so bent out of shape that he then pulled the like, I'm going to break up with you before you can break up with me.
Totally.
Because he's like, you know what? No, we're done. And I'm like, wait, 2 seconds ago, she was saying that like, this isn't going to work for her. And now all of a sudden it's not working for you because you don't fight for us and all this shit. Then I'm like, here's what happened, man. You did something that hurt someone. Not saying it's wrong to have slept with the women, but you did something that hurt someone. So now it's your job, if you really care about this person, like if this is a person you say you love the most, then you should be the most humble with them and be like, you know what? I am so sorry this happened this way. I feel devastated. And it just felt like he then got it to this place where it's like, you know, you this and you didn't do this and this and this and you're playing games now and you're not fighting for us. And then there was this moment too where he raised his voice and he goes, I'm sorry I raised my voice. I just really love us and I want to fight for us. And it's like, so you're excusing your bad actions because you like someone so much. Like that's not cool, man.
It's the like, he wants what he wants and he can't have what he wants.
Yes.
And like, to me, looking back on it, what the move that would have like, to me, been like a step towards resolution would have been like, let's stop the date. Let's stop the date. Let's take tonight to just ruminate on what happened. If that's how you're feeling, she didn't give any definites. She was like, I just don't know how this would happen. And be like, you know what? Let's take tonight to ourselves. Let's have breakfast tomorrow. And let's see like how we feel after sleeping on it. Is this something that you want to walk away from knowing what you now know? And if there's anything I can think about while I'm alone that like you'd want me to think about, please tell me now. Otherwise, like there's just, I don't want to believe that this is over. You know, it's like that would have been an amazing scene to watch. Instead, we saw what we saw 90% of humanity.
Yeah, because it was funny because like remember when he snapped?
We saw 90% of male humanity.
Right, exactly. Remember when he snapped? Right? Yeah. And then he was like, you know what? No, I'm done. And then it was over. It was funny because right before that hit, I thought to myself, even though she's saying, I don't know how I can get past this, I thought to myself, they can get through this.
Easily.
Like I was like, if he keeps his temper down and he keeps humble and he just keeps saying, I'm so sorry. I let the moment happen to me. I got greedy with all this situation. I was basically trying to sleep with both of these women and ride off with you into the sunset. I played too close to the sun. I got burnt. I shouldn't have done that. I am so sorry. Yeah. If you would have just kept nailing that down, I think they could have worked through it. Yeah, let's not sleep in the same bed tonight. I want to talk to you in the morning. I want to take time to figure this out. But instead, within minutes, he didn't get the response he wanted, and he's like, "You're not willing to fight for me, and I don't want my wife to be someone like you." And it was just like, holy shit, man! Like your pride got in the way, and you saw red, and then it was over.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where like, you know, it's like the stuff with Shanae is like, it's not condoning anything he did. I just think it's important to see like it's so, for me at least, it's very relatable to the way he responded in that. And it's like maturity is being able to control that.
Yeah.
It's being able to take a breath and slow down and stop focusing on your own reading of the situation, your own emotions, and take a breath and look at the other person across from you and just like try to feel what they're going through.
Yeah.
And just be like, fuck, it is what it is.
Dude, let's be real. How many times have me and you been in an argument with our ladies where we're not sympathizing at all with their side? Well, we're just trying to win.
That's kind of
because we're proud.
And that's kind of my thing is like, you know, the audience is overwhelmingly women. So I think that's their experience.
They're used to that with their guys.
Pretty fucking used to it. Pretty much have no patience for it. Super sorry about that. Very sorry about it. But I'm also like, it's, with a lot of the things when we see behavior like this, I'm like, the importance where the show can be valuable in a certain way isn't just like this, let's just see a bunch of people be shitty humans.
Yeah.
To me, this is a very relatable point in a lot of people's relationships, to be like Clayton is basically sacrificing in a way. He's becoming an example of what not to do. And you could all benefit and learn from watching what not to do.
Yeah, 100%.
To a person you really care about, or when you get into an argument where you feel like what you're arguing about is unfair. Yeah. There can be the point where it's like there's a stopping point and then there's a point where you cross where there's no coming back from.
Yeah.
And he crossed that point and we all just got to witness it. He did that for us. And now it's sort of like, okay, take what you will. But I think it's like, it is a learning point to me. I mean, this is what we talk about in therapy, how to stop yourself. And they're like, anger, which like anger management stuff is like, people don't just go 0 to 100. People's tank fills up slowly, and then it hits the roof and then it spills over. And what you have to develop is the ability to recognize when that level is rising and take a breath and remove yourself from the situation so you can return to it in a calm way.
Yeah.
And not lose control. I mean, and he did. And, it's on film and we all got to watch it.
Yeah.
And it was like,
And then we see the preview for next week and it's just like everything hits the fan and it's like, oh, it's, what it is, man? I honestly think he wanted to go with Susie.
He did. That's what, it's clear as day. That's what the saddest part is he's like, dude, you were the girl I wanted to be engaged with at the end of this.
It's just, he also tried to do, he
fucked it all up.
It definitely seems like, going into the end with like Rachel and Gabby, it seems like he likes them both a lot, but at the end of the day, like
he got greedy.
I think he got greedy with the whole thing. He flew way too close to the sun, and he got burned.
Icarus,
man. Well, next week's gonna be flames. It's the finale of it all, baby,
dude. And this is where everyone hits the deck.
Oh, we've been seeing this deck hit for a while.
Clayton's rolling around in the snow. The girls are rolling around on the ground. Everyone's on the ground. No one can keep their footing. It's like, is it an earthquake or did an actual bomb get dropped? What's going on here?
Everyone's rocked. But
everyone's rocked.
Emotionally exhausting for sure.
I mean, I thought this fantasy suite was going to be so boring. Oh. I did not see this. I mean, look, this is where I did not see this coming.
I didn't see Susie. I thought Susie would have a problem with it, but I didn't see her being like, I'm leaving, by the way. Like,
yeah, that's what I was like, wow.
I think it was, just to wrap it up, I think what really did it was the love and the sex. I think if it would have been the sex only, I think it would have been like, she could have maybe been a little, but I think it's the fact that, I get it, dude. If I'm being honest with you, and I'm sitting there with this girl that like I think is going to be my wife, and she just told me that she banged 2 dudes and told them she loved them, I'd be like, I don't really know what to do here. Like, now, that is rough.
Now,
like,
unpopular opinion before we end. I'm gonna put myself out there for everyone. You can come after me all you want. Here's an unpopular opinion. I'm gonna prod you all with this question. Bachelorette edit. Odds for Susie. The two women who they were giving the opportunity to so far to me seem like Susie and Teddy.
Yeah.
They even teased it with Teddy's situation.
Yeah. Teddy to me seems like the front runner. But yeah, it's possible, right?
But we also don't know if she's coming back.
Right.
We also don't know if Susie's going to come back.
For like Bachelor. Oh, you mean back? Oh,
in
you
the
mean
next
like,
episode.
Oh, sure.
There's totally opportunity for that.
Because they did say something like, what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything.
There's opportunity.
So I don't know what that is. All right. Well, we'll see you next week. We love you all. And it's the finale, dude.
It's finale.
Finale. Love y'all.
Bye, you
Chat
guys.
soon.